All right, what's good, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and next Saturday, May 7th, we have Canelo Alvarez against Dmitry Bivol. Bivol is going to be defending his WBA light heavyweight championship title. All right, Canelo Alvarez, who's currently the undisputed champion at super middleweight, will not be defending his titles. All right, his titles are now on the line. Canelo is going to be moving up to fight Dmitry Bivol, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no catch weight, there's no rehydration clause or anything like that. We know we had one when Canelo moved up before the 175 to fight Sergey Kovalev. But as far as I know, I don't think there's anything that's been reported about any rehydration clause or any kind of weight advantage for Canelo. Okay. So this fight is going to be on DAZN. This is going to be the first DAZN pay-per-view fight. All right. If you are a subscriber to DAZN now, I think you get like $20 off or something, like a $20 discount, which you're actually paying for because you're paying a monthly fee. But I believe the pay-per-view is going to be like $54.99 or something like that. And if you are a subscriber, it's going to be like $74.99 at full price. Okay? So I will be covering the fight live. All right? But I won't be able to cover the entire card like I normally do. Normally I get on here around, I don't know, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'll cover, the majority or the full actual fight card. I won't be able to do that. I have a birthday event to go to earlier that evening, so I should probably get back on here maybe around 9 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. somewhere around that. All right, I'll let you guys know. But again, if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that bell notification button as well, so you'll be alerted whenever I drop new content. And also, if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up and share the video to your friends, to your social media platform, and all that good stuff. Right? So let's get right into it. All right, enough with the small talk. This fight, I made a couple of videos in the past about this fight when we knew that this fight was going down, when it was official. It's going to be a 2-fight deal. Dmitry Bivol first at 175, and then Triple G trilogy later this year. All right, so that's the deal they have with Canelo and DAZN. First of all, this fight is probably one of my favorite matchups in Canelo's career. I already expressed that before because Bivol is not only just my current favorite fighter at 175, but I also think the matchup itself, the styles and everything, I love this fight because I think Bivol has a pretty solid chance on beating Canelo. All right, there's not many fighters out there throughout the career Canelo. There's been some good fighters out there that he's fought, especially the guys at 168. You had Danny Jacobs, you had Saunders, you had Plant, you had Smith, you had Kovalev, you had Miguel Cotto, you had Austin Trout. But guys like Lara, guys like Triple G, guys like Floyd Mayweather, of course, all have had a better shot at beating Canelo before the fight. The matchup itself was great, and Bivol is one of those matchups now for me. I'm not speaking for everybody else, but for me, Bivol is up there as far as one of the better opponents for Canelo going into the fight, especially if there's no weight clause. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't believe there is. All right. So I love this fight, and I can't wait. I've been covering Canelo since I started this channel. All right, one of the earlier breakdowns that I did when I created this channel was Canelo and Mayweather. So I came on before that fight, and I gave a breakdown. And I've been giving you guys Canelo breakdowns over the years. I've seen the changes in his game, the development in his game, and I really didn't require any film study for me to do this breakdown. Normally, I'll give you some time, take some time to do a film study. I wanted to get this video out there right away because I'm very familiar with both fighters. Canelo is 31 years old, same as Bivol. They're the same age. Canelo is 5'8", 70-inch reach. Bivol has a slight reach advantage, 72 inches, but he's 6 foot in height. So he has a clear height advantage, which pretty much everyone that Canelo faces at this point has a height advantage. Even most of the guys at 160 had a height advantage. Even some of the guys at 154 had a height advantage. Canelo's pretty short, but he makes it up in his power and his ability to close the gap against taller, longer fighters. All right, and which he will try to do in this fight as well. All right, but they're both, and they're both pretty active. Canelo obviously coming off 4 fights at super middleweight within 11 months is insane, especially for today's boxing. The top talented fighters, the A-side guys, the cash cows. Most of them fight once or twice a year. Canelo fought 4 times within a year and became undisputed in the super middleweight division. All right, and we don't see that much these days. So he's been very active. And Bivol had 2 fights in 2021, but not against elite level fighters. All right, these were kind of comeback fights when he fought recently in 2021. But he does have some good fighters in his resume. He's a career light heavyweight fighter. He's never fought above or below light heavyweight. He's not a big light heavyweight. I mean, he was actually even willing to come down to 168 to fight Canelo. But I believe Canelo is going up to fight him at 175. But Bivol has guys like Joe Smith Jr., who's currently a champion at 175 on his resume, a good win for him. He has a Sullivan Barrera who was only defeated by Andre Ward at the time. He was able to stop Sullivan Barrera. He's also got John Pascal, who's a former champion. And he recently had a win against Marcus Brown, So he's fought some pretty good fighters. Not the very best in the last 3 fights. Leonard Castillo is one of the fighters. Umar is one of the fighters. Richards is one of the fighters. Solid opponents, but not elite level fighters. Clearly not on the level of the guys that Canelo's faced recently with Plant, Saunders, Callum Smith, all undefeated fighters, top level fighters at the division at 168. Not on those level, but he's been active at least. He didn't fight in 2020, but for the most part, he's been pretty active in his career. All right, so it's not like he's coming off a layoff, and that's that. So Canelo Alvarez, let's talk. He's turned out to be a full-fledged pressure fighter at this point. I think it's pretty much safe to say that he's a pressure fighter. He's not playing cat and mouse anymore. He's not just there to pot shot and outthink the opponents. He is, but he's a pressure fighter, an intelligent one, and one that doesn't he's not there to outpunch you. He's there to be very make every punch count. Very precise puncher at this point, and make you work and burn you out. Once upon a time, Canelo didn't have the greatest endurance. Okay, he would get tired out, gassed out in the later rounds. We saw that in the Trout fight. We saw that in the Angulo fight. We saw in fights like the Triple G first fight, where Canelo kind of burned out in the second half. At this point, Canelo wasn't a heavy pressure fighter like the way he is now. Now Canelo wants to keep the fight in the center of the ring or come forward on you and walk you down and use that intelligence to set traps, use that high guard, which he uses it in a different way. You've seen guys like Floyd Mayweather do the same thing, where he's using a high guard, basically to get you to think you are closer to him than you actually are. Likes to lean forward with that high guard, which is not tight, has enough space to be able to see what's being thrown at him. Is able to protect the side of his head for the looping shots, and able to parry the jabs and the straight shots that's coming right through the middle. And it's used as a trap. It's used as a way to counter. Whoever touches his gloves or his elbows, he's ready to shoot a shot right back at them. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically used to set up hard counters, heavy counters. And it's worked out for them. You know, it's a good way to use defense. It's a good way to manipulate the fighters and make them work as he continues to inch closer to them. If you watch the Plant fight, I did get a chance to look a little bit at the Caleb Plant fight because his most recent fight, and I was able to look at the Kovalev fight. You know, I went back and looked some of the Kovalev fight because Kovalev did a good job in maintaining that distance. Even though he lost, I know he was stopped, but it was a competitive fight in the sense that Kovalev was very, very accurate with his jab. He was able to get through Canelo's guard with that jab. He's much taller, rangier, and at one point he was one of the best. He had one of the best jabs in the sport. Gave Andre Ward a lot of trouble, Bernard Hopkins, and so on and so forth. And also he had a lot of right hand power. All right, he used to knock a lot of guys with one punch, knocked a lot of guys out with one punch in his prime. All right, so with Canelo, he was able to use that in order to keep the range and probe and touch Canelo with those lead hands. You know what I'm saying? That lead hand. Canelo was able to still get into range and land some hard shots, but it was much more difficult with Canelo. Like, it's going to be much more difficult and even more difficult than Kovalev, because Bivol can do the same with his jab. He has a very powerful jab, a very sharp jab, quick jab, and he's able to move while throwing that jab. All right, and he's much lighter on his feet than Kovalev. He's much quicker than Kovalev. He's younger. He's fresher. He throws more punches than Kovalev at that point in his career. So in that sense, Bivol's going to be a lot more difficult as far as closing the gap. All right, and we'll get more into that shortly. But Canelo at this point, being that he's shorter, he's trying to get into your space, your comfort, within your comfort zone. And the problem with these fighters, not so much Kovalev, but fighters like Caleb Plant, you know, fighters like Callum Smith, they're burning themselves out by trying to throw shots to keep Canelo away. So as Canelo's inching closer, if you notice in the first few rounds, Canelo's not really throwing that many punches. You'll see the same thing with Usyk when you watch him fight. You see the same thing with Lomachenko when you watch him fight. These guys are great at just seeing what you got, you know, downloading information, like Tim Bradley likes to say on ESPN. You know, he's maintaining, he's gaining that data. Same thing with Terrence Crawford. These guys will walk you down and stalk you. And they're keeping the guard tight as they're stalking you, not throwing many punches, but mentally draining you, you know? And that is what Canelo has become, a master pressure fighter, because he's not throwing many punches. He's not even throwing more punches than you are. And he's not landing more punches, but when he lands, he's making every punch count. He's not really wasting any shots. You know what I'm saying? He's just staying on your ass, and you're on the move, and you're throwing many punches, and you're not even really connecting, because most of these shots are getting blocked by Canelo, or you're not really landing them flush. And just to add to all of that, Canelo has a great chin. He has one of the best chins in the sport. And he's great at turning the shot. So when the high guard is down, all right, and he's using a lot more head movement, and he's changing levels, he's getting low, he's slipping shots. When you do connect, like Triple G has, or when Danny Jacobs landed with some big flush shots, he's turning his neck with the shots and rolling the punches well too at the same time. So you barely get through, but when you do get through, he has a great chin. You know, we all have seen him work out his chin. There's plenty of video. I know a lot of boxers do it, but Canelo's proven to have a very solid chin if you can connect. All right, so Canelo's coming in. He's trying to close the gap between the two. He's the better fighter on the inside than Bivol. He's a superior inside fighter. He's probably the superior mid-range fighter as well. And he's trying to get in so he can commit to that body. Again, it's all about commitment. Many fighters are good at throwing to the body. Canelo is one of those guys that's committed to attacking the body. He's been that way for a long time now. We saw it in a Lara fight. That's pretty much how he won the Lara fight on points to the judges, because of his commitment to the body. He's coming in, he's looking to lead with that left hook to the body, or sometimes loop it to the body and throw it up top, you know, or fake it to the body and throw it and loop it up top. So he's very, you know, manipulative. You know, he's able to manipulate you with those hooks. Big overhand right, good jab, a lot of speed and timing on that jab. He's just trying to close the gap, all right, and work on the inside. If he has you on the ropes, you're in a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying? If he have you on the inside, he's probably going to outwork you on the inside, because he knows how to throw those short shots. He knows how to create the space in between you by using his elbows and his forearms to create some space to connect with those short shots to the body on the inside, throw those uppercuts on the inside, all right? And he just, I mean, what else can I say? We all seen the guy. We know he's capable of doing pretty much anything. He can fight well on the outside too, but he's better off on the inside because, you know, he's shorter. He has the shorter reach and everything. So the best shots are on the inside. So expect Canelo to try to walk Bivol down, who's going to be on a move, all right? And it's going to be Canelo chasing him down. But Bivol, on the other hand, he's different. He's not like Plant. He's not like Saunders. He's not like Callum Smith. He's a completely different guy. He's not like Kovalev. He's not like a lot of these other fighters, because Bivol not only let his hands go while on a move, but he throws combinations. And while he's on a move and he's, you know, he's turning you and he's stepping around you, he's able to move, stop, and sit down on some shots while he's on a move. Pop, pop, and then keep moving. Keep using that ring. He's not a guy that's just wasting time and he's not gonna just allow Canelo to get in on him so easily, all right? Because he has a jab that you have, a power jab, a consistent, precise jab that's constantly going to be thrown to the body up top to set up combinations, and he's consistently throwing while he's on the move, right? It's quick, it's powerful, it's sharp, and he can stop and go at any moment. Like when I was watching a little bit of I watched the Joe Smith fight. That's all I really watched, because Joe Smith is not like Canelo, but Joe Smith is a guy that's a really front foot heavy type of guy. You know, he likes to come forward and bring the pressure and throw overhand rights. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I watched him, because that's what I'm expecting Canelo to do. You know, he's putting a lot of power down. And I know from watching that fight in the past, I know that Joe Smith was able to connect with a couple shots and kind of hurt Bivol a little bit. Catch him good, you know, wobble him a little bit, you know, keep him all unsteady. Because Bivol has the habit of getting a little lazy with that lead hand. You know, throw that jab out there, leaves it out there a little too long at times. Throws a little lazy jab at times. And plus, he's a guy that you could catch in between the combinations. So the reason why I watched Joe Smith is because even though Bivol clearly won the fight, Joe Smith was able to catch him with some big shots. And Joe Smith is the type of guy that is going to come forward, you know. And even though Bivol at times was able to back Joe Smith up, which I think he will do in this fight. I don't think this is going to be a fight where Canelo can just easily come forward. You know, I think this is a fight where Canelo's going to have to change the rhythm as the fight goes. You know, so he's going to be stepping back at times and resetting himself and giving you different looks, you know, as he's trying to inch in closer and create some offense. All right. But Bivol, I watched the Joe Smith fight, and Bivol, one thing about him, the combinations, the hand speed. He does have a hand speed advantage, but what he does with that lead hand to control the distance, like I said with Kovalev, he's going to leave that lead hand out there and keep Canelo out of range, all right? And he's going to be touching Canelo. And he's going to be mixing and probing that jab, mixing it up, doing soft touch jab, but mixing it up with some power jabs in between. And he's going to follow up and try to find opportunities to try to ambush Canelo. Now, Canelo is going to be looking to try to time him and counter him in between the punches, which is the right thing to do, especially if you can get in the mid-range position, you know. From the outside, he's going to step in and throw and land and connect with some left hooks to the body and throw that wild overhand right from far out. There's 3 times where I could see him catching Bivol, but I can see there's times where he's going to miss and Bivol is going to turn, you know, step to his left and counter him with an uppercut and a left hand. You know what I'm saying? Right after that. So Bivol is very slick when he wants to be, but he's not afraid to let his hands go. Again, this is going to be a guy that's going to be like Saunders and Plant, who's going to know how to use the ring, but he's going to be looking to throw shots with real power that's going to make Canelo respect him. I think one thing about Bivol, though, one thing he does lack is he doesn't really go to the body that much, all right? And if he does, it's usually for long range. He's not a type of guy that's really comfortable fighting in the pocket. He can defend himself okay in the pocket, but he normally just stays in a high guard when he's in the pocket, you know, and he'll tie up from time to time. But I don't think he's great at defending himself in the pocket, and I don't think he's great at on the attack. Yes, he can throw some short shots, but he's not great at like creating space when he's in there. You know how some guys know how to kind of use their forearms to lead forward and lead forward and know how to create some space, use their elbows, not their elbows, but their shoulders to create some space in between. And he's not on that level where he's comfortable to stay in there like that. You know, he's pretty much stationary when he's in the pocket. So I expect Bivol, if he is to get in there and he's in trouble and he is trapped, let's say his back is against the ropes, I hope he's worked on trying to find ways to tie up so Canelo can't really get off. And I don't know if he's physically strong enough to do that with Canelo. You know, guys like Andre Ward, guys like Terrence Crawford, they know how to tie up guys that was able to get in on the inside and try to do work against them. You know, Andre Ward and Bud can fight on the inside, but they know how to defend themselves and create offense, and they knew how to make the space in order to, you know, create opportunities on the inside. I can't say Bivol's on that level. So when he's on the inside with Canelo, he's at a clear disadvantage. You don't really want to be there because Canelo is going to wear you out in there. You know what I'm saying? So you're giving up your advantages to Canelo. And again, you know, he has to be on the move. He doesn't have to be on the move the entire time. And that's the key thing. And that's one of the things that's going to make this fight and determine how this fight is going to play out. Questions that I have about Bivol. How durable is he? All right. I've never seen him down. I've seen him take some good shots pretty well, but I've never seen him down. But I've never seen him fight a guy that's on the level of Canelo. He's fought punchers like Pascal and Joe Smith Jr.'s, and he's taken some punches from them. And he's handled, you know, for the most part, he's taking a punch as well. But Canelo's a little different. I expect Canelo, if Canelo's going to hurt Bivol, I think it's going to be from a body shot. How durable is he to the body? You know, that's one question I have from Bivol. Also, in order for Bivol to win this fight, he's going to have to command respect in the center of the ring. He can't be fighting on his back foot for too long. He's going to have to fight him similar to Joe Smith, and he's going to have to be in a position where you're standing right in front of him or at times making Canelo back up like Triple G. The only guys that did well against Triple G or Canelo was Triple G because they could stand right in front of Canelo and take whatever's coming or slip whatever's coming like Floyd Mayweather did. Lara was a little different because Lara is great with his legs. I mean, he's one of the best, you know, as far as ring coverage. He's one of the best movers and one of the best at controlling distance with that lead hand. All right, so he was a different level. But guys like Floyd, guys like Triple G in their own respective ways was able to stand right in front of Canelo Floyd was able to just make him miss from close range because of his reflexes. Golovkin was able to fight fire with fire because of the fact that, he was able to throw more jabs and was able to take the punches because he was so durable. That's the one thing with Bivol I don't know. How durable is he? Callum Smith, a guy that was dominated by Canelo, was a really big guy at 168. So he was able to take the blows from Canelo. I don't know if Bivol is able to take that much punishment, but I'm not expecting Bivol to take as many hits as a Callum Smith. I'm expecting him to not get hit much like Plant didn't, but how durable is he, So he's going to have to find a way to stand in front of Canelo, not move, and box with him and outland him. If he is to win this fight, he has to be able to outland him and be able to survive while doing so. Can he do that? I don't know. I think the chances are very slim. But I think he's capable, more than capable, than the more recent opponents that Canelo has had. All right? Because of his punch output, his quickness, his combinations. All right? And just overall his setups are really, really good. So I think he's capable of doing it, but I don't know if he's able to do it on this level, especially with a guy that likes to slip and hook to the body like the way Canelo does. I haven't seen anyone really go to Bivol's body like that. And even though Bivol may be able to get out of the way of a lot of shots from up top, how is he going to deal with the body shots? That's my question. So the way I see this fight going, I see it where if it goes into a decision and there's no knockdowns, I think Bivol has a great chance of winning this fight. I'm being honest. If it goes into a decision, it could be one of those controversial ones like we had with Lara, even with Mayweather, with a judge scoring it a draw. Triple G fights, both 1 and 2. I can see it being one of those kind of fights where if it goes to a decision and Canelo cannot drop Bivol in this fight, I can see it being a Bivol win, or a very controversial Canelo win, just because what Bivol can do as far as outlanding Canelo, outthrowing Canelo, but being consistent throughout 12 rounds. Can he do it? Will he tire out? We got to wait and see. But if there's a chance where Bivol actually gets dropped, which is very possible, by a body shot or overhand right or whatever, it could be a looping, it could be a left hook to the top, whatever. I see Canelo winning this fight. If he can't stop him, I can see Canelo winning on points for sure if he's able to drop Dmitry Bivol. All right. I think Canelo hits harder. I think Canelo has more of a chance of dropping Bivol. He's proven to be very durable. Bivol, not as much. He took some big shots from Joe Smith. He got rocked a little bit. He lost his footing and he had to recover. But he did recover. He didn't get knocked down. So he is tough. But has anyone gone to the body? And that is the key for this fight. Has anyone really went to the body of Dmitry Bivol? No. And they weren't Canelo. If they did, they weren't Canelo Alvarez. All right? So the safe pick for me is Canelo Alvarez. I can see Canelo winning by stoppage. I can see Canelo winning on points. I think Bivol will probably go the distance mainly because he's so good at maintaining that range and, controlling that distance while on the move. I think there's opportunities for Canelo if he's to get Bivol trapped in the corner or against the ropes. I think he'll have opportunities to actually stop him, but I don't think there's going to be many opportunities like that because Bivol up to this point has shown to have great endurance. Plus, I don't think Bivol is there to waste punches like other fighters that were getting pressured by Canelo that I was speaking on earlier, how Canelo can pressure you coming forward without throwing much. I think Bivol is better at making the punches count. You have to stay, keep your composure, not throwing so much, waiting for the opportunities to throw. Keep that lead hand out there, probe, change levels, feint. Bivol is capable of doing all of that Canelo will be doing. Canelo is going to be changing levels, feinting, and all that. But Bivol, I don't believe Bivol is going to be there to waste punches like some of the other fighters that we've seen get burned out against Canelo. All right. Another thing with Bivol, I think Bivol, again, he is not so predictable because of his punch selection. This is a really good fight. I can keep talking about this fight, and I don't want to do that. We're already 30 minutes into the video. I don't want to keep doing that because both of these fighters do everything well. But what I will say, and I'm going to close this out, I'm going with Canelo because it's a safer pick to me. I think Bivol has a real chance if this goes to a decision. If this goes to a decision, it's going to be a controversial one, in my opinion. All right? Regardless of how it goes, it's going to be a controversial one. I don't think it's going to be a unanimous decision for either side. All right? I do believe that Bivol has to do more to win because of who Canelo is. It is what it is. And just because of the history when it came to close fights, all right, or competitive ones. I think Canelo clearly definitely has a better chance of stopping Bivol. I don't think Bivol can stop Canelo. I know Bivol wasn't that sharp and that great in his last two fights and his comeback from being out of the ring in 2020. But I think with fighters that step up and fight, the better fighters they fight, the more better they prepare for the fight and the better they are in the ring that night. So we're going to see the best Bivol again. He's fresh. He's the same age as Canelo, and he's been active. I think we're going to get the best version of him. I think there shouldn't be any excuses. Hopefully, again, there's no weird weight clauses or anything. But I'm picking Canelo either by late stoppage, which will probably stem from a body shot or start with a body shot, or a Canelo winning on points, possibly controversial. I think Bivol can really shine though against Canelo, and we could get an upset. But I even think Canelo's going to make it too competitive for Bivol to get a points decision to me. So I got Canelo winning this one, man. So again, subscribe to the channel. I'm out, man. I'm dragging this. I'll see you guys on the night of the fight. And check me out on the night of the fights this weekend as well. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson. And y'all have a good one. Peace.